السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على أشرف المخلوقين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. The asad is here. So inshallah we'll be continuing from Surah Dareyat, and that's where we stopped last time. And we stopped at the ayat when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, after A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, هل أتاك حديث ضيف إبراهيم المكرمين إذ دخلوا عليه فقالوا سلاما قال سلام قوم منكرون فراغ إلى أهله فجاء بعجل سمين فقربه إليهم قال ألا تأكلون فأوجس منهم خيفة قالوا لا تخف وبشروه بغلام عليم فأقبلت امرأته في صرة فصكت وجهها وقالت عجوز عقيم قالوا كذلك قال ربك إنه هو الحكيم العليم قال فما خطبكم أيها المرسلون قالوا إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم مجرمين لنرسل عليهم حجارة من طين مسومة عند ربك للمسرفين فأخرجنا من كان فيها من المؤمنين فما وجدنا فيها غير بيت من المسلمين وتركنا فيها آية للذين يخافون العذاب الأليم. صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this specific ayat, He will be talking about few examples of few prophets. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, هل أتاك حديث ضيف إبراهيم. And we find in many ayahs when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, هل أتاك حديث الغاشية. هل أتاك. So, did you know, or anyone relate to you the story of such? So over here, حديث ضيف إبراهيم, the story, the talk about the guests of Ibrahim alayhi salam, definitely. Ibrahim, Imam al-Anbiya, we call him also the father of the prophets and messengers. Al-Mukrami, the guests. It is also mentioned something interesting about Ibrahim alayhi salam. He said, أول من قرأ الضيف. You know this concept of hosting a guest, inviting someone to your house as a guest and feeding that person. Do you think historically this was something common a long time ago? It was not. Okay, let's put it this way. In the Western culture, do they have this concept of generosity? You know what I mean by that? Inviting guests to your home with no reason, only because you want to feed people. This concept, it's a concept which is believed that probably Ibrahim alayhi salam was the very first person who used to make food and wait for the people, whoever is passing by, and will invite them for food. And especially in the nighttime. It is believed that in the nighttime, That's where the people who are being lost or travelers, they don't find any place, they don't find food after the whole day. So Ibrahim, whenever he used to make food, it says or believed that he would not eat by himself. He would always find someone, find a guest to call them. Not only that, it is also believed that in the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, one time, the same way, he made some food and then he went outside. And he found only one person, invited him for the food. And once he put him there, he said, okay, let me just go and get you something more, like the bread. So when he came back, he invited that person, when he came back, he found him that he was standing in front of the fire, worshipping fire. He wasn't a fire worshipper. So what he did, Ibrahim alayhi salam probably got upset, and then he just kicked the guy out. And he left. At that moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Ibrahim by angel Jibreel alayhi salam, why did you do so? He said, that person that I want to feed him, when I came, I found him worshipping fire. Worshipping something beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ya Ibrahim, this person that he's been worshipping fire, I am the one who created him. I have been providing him and feeding him for the last 40 years. That person is like 40 years or more. So for the last 40 years I have been feeding him and finding ways for him to be fed. And he's disobeying me for the last 40 years. And you couldn't even take him for half an hour. That probably will bring us an idea about how we are and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most forgiving. The people disobey Allah daily, nightly, openly, publicly. Still Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He provides them. He allows them on His earth to eat and walk and talk and think and have children and make business and have wealth. So He called Ibrahim alayhi salam. What he did, he ran to get that person. And then he said, please come back with me. He said, you just kicked me out. And now you're coming after me to bring me back? What's wrong with you? He said, please. And he was like begging him, please come with me. So he came back again. And he ate the food and whatever and then he said, what's wrong with you? Wa alaikum salam. He said, I've been blamed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by my Lord, for not hosting you, not giving you the food. And that person said, this is the way how this deen, if this is the way this is the deen, I believe in this Lord, that He's sending you and blaming you from kicking out even someone who doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about another story. Here, هَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ ضَيْفِ إِبْرَاهِيمِ, the guests of Ibrahim. Al-Mukrameen, so these are noble ones. And it refers to a group of people, probably 3 people. ادخلوا عليه فقالوا سلاما. When they entered and they said to him salam, قال سلام. He repeated the salam. قوم منكرون. He said those people were hiding their faces. Nobody knew who are they. Nobody saw them in that city. Subhanallah. So what he did, فراغ إلى أهله فجاء بعجل سمين. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he rushed to his family and he asked them to cook something. So there was a cow ready there. They made it and he brought it. So when he brought it, فقربه إليهم, so he brought it closer to them. So once he brought it closer to them, قال ألا تأكلون, why don't you eat? These are the guests coming in the night time, so they're supposed to be hungry. So how come they are not even touching it? Why you're not eating? فأوجس منهم خيفة. Those people who are not, they don't want to eat. It looks like something is wrong with them. Right? قالوا لا تخف. Don't be worried. The reason why those people were not eating, because those were angels. Came in the image of a human being to Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَبَشَّرُوهُ بِغُلَامٍ عَلِيمٍ. And they give him the good news to Ibrahim alayhi salam that you are going to have a child. It is also believed that this story, it happened after Ibrahim alayhi salam had his first child. Ibrahim alayhi salam, as probably all of us we know, just a small reminder, he was married to his cousin Sarah. And they stayed for a long period of time but didn't have kids. And Ibrahim was over 80 years old. And at that moment, Sarah alayhi salam suggested to Ibrahim to get married again. And he refused. And she insisted. And he got married to the servant of Sarah. She's the one who offered to marry her servant, which was Hajar alayhi salam. He married Hajar, and a couple of months later on, Hajar got pregnant, and she gave birth to the first child of Ibrahim alayhi salam, which is Ismail alayhi salam. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Ibrahim alayhi salam to take his wife Hajar and his son Ismail from what we call now Philistine, Jerusalem, all the way to an area that nobody knew at that time, and that's what we call now Mecca. And he left them there. And that's how the story will start with the Mecca and so on. Ibrahim will come back again. Will come back again. He will stay with his wife Sarah, the first one, which is also is his cousin. And this is at the time when those angels came to him. Those angels came to Ibrahim alayhi salam. He tried to feed them, and then he realized that they are not eating because they are angels. And there they told him, they gave him the good news, بِغُلَامٍ عَلِيمٍ, with another child that he will be very knowledgeable. At that moment, فَأَقْبَلَتِ امْرَأَتُهُ فِي صَرَّةٍ فَصَكَّتْ وَجْهَهَا وَقَالَتْ عَجُوزٌ عَقِيمٌ. And actually, at that moment, the wife of Ibrahim, she's the one coming to serve them. She's the one came and she was like very surprised. You are giving him the good news to have another child? I am a very old woman. Not only that, I've been living with him for the last 80 years and I cannot give it. And ma'aqim, I cannot give it a child. قالوا كذلك قال ربك. This is how your Lord said. Your Lord said that you're going to have a child. إنه هو العليم هو الحكيم العليم. Indeed, Allah has all the wisdom and has all the knowledge. So the angels came, number one, for a good reason, to give Ibrahim alayhi salam the good news that his wife Sarah, which was not able to give a child for so long, now they give her the good news that you're going to have a child. And indeed, Sarah, at probably the age of 80, probably doesn't sound logical for you, but nothing is impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the age of 80, more or less, she got pregnant and she gave birth to her child, which is Ishaq alayhi salam, which is another prophet. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was a prophet, and his two sons were also prophet, Ismail and Ishaq. قال فما خطبكم أيها المرسلون. Now he's talking to those angels, why they came to visit him. قالوا إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم مجرمين. The purpose why they come in now, those angels, is not to Ibrahim alayhi salam, but for a different reason. We are being sent to some group of people which is they are unfaithful. They are not good people. They are bad people. مجرمين. Reason, لنرسل عليهم حجارة من طين. We will be stoning them with some stones made of clay. مسومة عند ربك للمسرفين. And those stones are so sharp. فأخرجنا من كان فيها من المؤمنين. And that city, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered them that all the believers will come out from that city. Because once the punishment will come, it will destroy the entire city, except the believers. How? Allah said to the believers, leave. فَمَا وَجَدْنَا فِيهَا غَيْرَ بَيْتٍ مِّنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. There's only one home that the people of the home or people of that house were Muslims. And this is actually the family of Lut alayhi salam. Lut alayhi salam. Lut alayhi salam actually is the nephew of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Going back again to the history. Ibrahim alayhi salam was born and raised in Iraq. And that's where he became a prophet. And after a while we know the story that he was also being put in fire. Finally he decided to leave that area. Because even his father, his uncles, whatever, all of them rejected him. So he decided to leave from Iraq. So when he left, the only people that left with him was his wife, Sarah, and his nephew, Lot. His nephew, Lot. The only two people who believed in him, his wife and his nephew. So they traveled with Ibrahim alayhi salam all the way from Iraq to what we call now Philistine. But Lut, after a while, also he would be ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go to another city to teach them. Right? And that's in that city, subhanallah, the fahisha, the bad things will be spread among them, which is the homosexuality that we call it right now. Male likes male, and female, they like female. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about that. These are the very first people, the very first one who spread this fahisha openly among them. And they did not care. And that's why the angels came to Ibrahim to tell him, we are being sent to the city of Lut to destroy them. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, in another ayah, was arguing with them, with the angels. How are you going to destroy those people? Inna fiha Luta. He said to them, in that city there's Lut. He's a prophet, he's a good man. I know him, he's my nephew. They say, Nahnu a'lamu man fiha. We know who is there. We know who is there. But we are being sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy that city. And that's where they went there, to that city. And when they enter the city, again, same story will happen. When they enter the city, they enter in the nighttime. And they met the daughter of Lut. And they say, we're looking for a certain place. So she took them to Lut's house. And once Lut alayhi salam saw them, those three gentlemen, and he did not know that these are prophets. He saw them, as the ayah say, ضَاقَ بِهِمْ ضَرْعًا. He felt not comfortable to host them. Reason? Because he knew the whole city will be after him. Those three guys who came, they looked so handsome. And he knew that everybody will be after them. So he took them and he hosted them. And now, the wife of Lut alayhi salam, she is the one who went and spread the rumor, or spread the news among everybody in the city. Oh, in the house of my husband there's some very handsome guys. Why don't you come? So by the end of the day, they came to the house of Lut, knocking the door. So when they knock the door, what do you want? Say, we know that there are some three guys there, we want them. And Lut alayhi salam say, what are you saying? At least respect me. At least don't put me in this ugly situation. These are my hosts. Say, we don't care. You're not allowed to protect them. You're not allowed to keep them. We want them. And we will have them. And that's where Lut alayhi salam didn't know what to do. But the angels, after they said to Lut, don't worry. We are not actually human. We are angels from your Lord. And we are being sent to those people because we know what has been going on in this city. And we order you to leave your home by the Fajr time. And once you leave, do not even turn your face anymore. Don't turn your face. And whoever does, he will be destroyed. And that's what happened. Lut alayhi salam will leave the city, will leave that city completely in the middle of the night. And once he left, it's only him and his two daughters. Only Lut alayhi salam and his two daughters, they will leave completely. Even his wife will stay with them because she belongs to that city, subhanAllah. That's when the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came, as we mentioned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send stones. It's like a rain, but it's made of stones, which is burning. And will, subhanAllah, destroy that city completely. Nothing will remain from that city at all. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَا وَجَدْنَا فِيهَا غَيْرَ بَيْتٍ مِّنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. There's only one home of the believers that was in that city. وَتَرَكْنَا فِيهَا آيَةً لِلَّذِينَ يَخَافُونَ الْعَذَابَ الْأَلِيمَ. And we left there a sign for the people who are afraid, worried from the punishment, the painful punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The city of the people of Lut, it is still there, it still exists. And we know from the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that in that city, everything was destroyed. Everything completely was destroyed. When a fahisha is being recognized, normalized, accepted, practiced by everybody, And nobody is saying no. Nobody is rejecting. Nobody even with his heart saying this is something bad. It means that those people deserve the punishment. And the punishment will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you look historically, in any nation before us, when they reach a certain level of corruption, a certain level of ugliness, let's use this word, right? And everybody is accepting that, it means the destruction from Allah will come soon. It happened with the people of Nuh. It happened with the people of Ad. It happened with the people of Thamud. It happened with the people of Lut. And each time the destruction was different. It just in the old nations, those nations were destroyed completely. Completely, they were probably erased from the earth. There's no one remaining from the people of Lut. There's nobody remaining from the people of Ad. There's nobody remaining from the people of Thamud. In our own ummah, in our own nation, people who came after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He guaranteed that He will not completely erase this nation. Still they will exist. But the punishment will be in a different way. And I'll give you an example. Muslims ruled in the south of Spain, and almost the whole Spain, for more than 800 years. I mean what I say. 800 years. 8 centuries. Muslims were ruling in Spain. In the whole Spain. And the civilization there was so flourishing. Anyone who will visit the south of Spain in Cordoba, Granada, Ishbilia, you name those places, it's just too wonderful to believe that people used to live in such a luxury in a certain time, subhanAllah. In that time, libraries and universities were so big and huge. The European, when they talk about the civilization of the Muslims in Spain, they say in the time when the streets of Cordoba and Granada used to have the sanitation, used to have the lights, the streets of London and Paris was full with dogs and rats and whatever you name it. That civilization was like that. Until they were also corrupt. They were corrupt with the same concept, homosexuality. You could easily go to the books and find out. Muslims in Spain were also corrupt with homosexuality in a level that you cannot even imagine. And this is one, or I will say, the main reason why the Muslims were kicked out completely from Spain, were destroyed completely there. It happened to me when I was in my last year of college, that I did some kind of a small booklets about the poetry in Spain. And what I found out, that even the poems talks about that. It reaches a certain level that any poet, he will talk about homosexuality, but in a different way. So instead of saying beautiful words about a man, about a woman, he will say about man to man. Not only that, it reached a level that all the princes, if you want, the rulers, the governors, they had this habit. Probably it was like a fashion. It was just like a fashion. And even in the books, it was written there. Even some of the scholars, they had this habit. Some of the scholars, they had this habit. And they also wrote poems about it. So it means that the whole nation was actually corrupted. The whole nation was infected by this kind of virus. For that reason, they deserve not to stay there anymore. So whatever you're talking politically, how the Muslims lost and how they were kicked out and how they were tortured. By the way, historically, there's no one who suffered in the history more than the Muslims once they were kicked out from Spain. Nobody, probably you're talking about the Holocaust and you're talking about whatever happening to the Palestinians and whatever happening even in slavery here in America. The way how the Muslims were treated by the Christians in Spain once they took over, Do you know that they used to bury them alive? Do you know that they used to be forced to change from Islam to Christianity? Do you know that they used to take their children by force and take them and put them in churches and many other places? Do you know? Do you know? And this is actually the punishment of what? Of that corruption that they had. Islam is not in Spain anymore. It's a Christian country right now. Yeah, you go and you visit those sites and you feel like bad. Wow, look at that civilization, how we used to be. But actually that's the earning of their hands. They were punished for whatever they did. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them time, gave them power, gave them chances, but they did not. Their corruption was just going over and over. So they deserve that punishment. Going back again. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَرَكْنَا فِيهَا آيَةً, and we left there a sign. Some of the studies also believe too, the way how that piece of land was destroyed is unique. Some of the researchers study that land, and then they say that land does not grow anything anymore. No grass, no flowers, no trees, nothing. The interesting thing, which is I read in one of the books of an Indian scholar called Wahiduddin Khan, called Al-Islam Yatahadda, the challenge of Islam. So he's saying that the studies of some researchers that the land of the people of Lut, if you compare it to the land of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two cities which is where America sent the atomic bomb and finished them, they said in those lands nothing grow anymore, and in this land also nothing grows. It doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hit them with that, but just look at the punishment that those people deserve from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتَرَكْنَا فِيهَا آيَةً لِلَّذِينَ يَخَافُونَ الْعَذَابَ الْأَلِيمَ. And we left an ayah there. So when the people pass by, they know that these are the places where the people of Lot used to be. And that's what happened to them. So up to now, still that place, nobody lives there anymore, subhanAllah. Coming to the end of this, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of us. وَاسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لَكُمْ جَمِيعًا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. If you have any comments or questions, inshallah. Yes.
When I heard the story of Lut before, and with his wife, doesn't she travel with him?
Yes, that's the story of the Bible.
That's the biblical account.
Exactly.
That she travels and she turns.
So the Bible said the wife goes with them, and they were ordered not to turn their face behind. So once she was going with them, when she felt and heard sound and lights up, she turned her face, and then she was changed to a stone, and her eyesight was taken. So this is a story which is mentioned in the Bible. Yeah. Good that you mentioned that, and good that we mentioned about the Bible. Sometimes say, oh, the same stories are being in the Quran in the Bible. No, it's not the same story. In the Quran, every prophet and messenger is being respected. Every prophet and messengers, we believe in them equally, that they were the cream of humanity, the best of every nation. And that's how we look at them. In the Bible, it's completely different. And when we talk about this story specifically, I don't know how we can accept that. The Bible story about the people of Lut, it's, for me, it's not only sad, but it's funny. According to the Bible, once Lot alayhi salam, he was saved with his 2 daughters only, right? He went to the mountain and he stayed there. This is the Bible story, by the way. You could check after that. After a while, the 2 daughters of Lot, they were talking to each other, and they said, we live here with our father, nobody's around us. So we're going to just live here and die. So what can we do? There's no male around us. So they talk to each other, and finally this is what they decide. They prepare wine and they give wine to their father. Who? Lot alayhi salam. So he got drunk. So the first night one of them slept with him, and the second night the second one slept with him. This is exactly the story in the Bible about Lot alayhi salam. So if a prophet and a messenger, this is what he will do, what is being left for someone else? So when some people say, oh, it's the same. No, it's not the same. What kind of concept is this? That a prophet and messengers who's been chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah save him and his daughters, this is how it ends up? We can't. You may put a lot of questions in your mind. Why these people change it this way? The reason why they change it, so whenever there is any fahisha being practiced by even the rabbis, they say, you know what, it's not something abnormal. Even prophet and messengers did that. So if prophet and messenger did that, I mean, for the normal people it's okay. No, we don't accept that. We believe in something called Ismatul Anbiya, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He give to the prophet and messengers, that they don't make the fawahish, the kaba'ir, the big sins. Yes, prophet and messengers, they're not gods, but they're not this kind of evil people that they will go just after their desires and whatever is so. Khair inshallah. Any other comments? لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت ويحيي لا يموت بيده الخير وإليه المصير وعلى كل شيء قدير اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين جزاكم الله خيرا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله